It is estimated that 4 million people in South Africa are HIV positive, but only 500,000 know that they have contracted the virus. If all POS people become aware of their status through testing, we could radically slow down the spread of the virus.
Yeah, I think that I want to go ahead with the test now.
And just to tell you, your blood goes to the lab with a specific number and not with your name. So therefore, your result is confidential.
This is the area where we receive our specimens. And I believe there is a specimen. We'll follow the specimen through.
So this is how my blood was transported to the laboratory.
Yes, it will come like this.
Is it coded with no name because of confidentiality?
Yes.
Confidential.
Yes. It's opening the lid of the reagents. It's just opened it. Some of the sample will go into one of these positions, which is the reaction vessels. It is, in fact, reactive.
Reactive means that that test has detected antibodies. But because we won't make a diagnosis just on one test, you need 2 or 3 reactive tests to be called HIV positive.
Some patients have been diagnosed in other areas. And I don't know whether it's because of the shock, they still come back and feel they want to be retested. They don't believe it.
Recently, questions have been raised about the accuracy of these tests. The key to testing is a reagent, a special chemical that produces a reaction with specific HIV antibodies produced by your immune system. Let's go and speak to Dr. Yates.
What I've got here is a picture, a photograph of the HIV virus, magnified 350,000 times. And this is a very simplified picture of the HIV virus. Eventually it's got a membrane around the whole virus. In the membrane there are proteins stuck into the membrane, different types of proteins. Now, when the virus gets into your body, your immune system sees it and sees that it's something foreign. And one of the responses of the immune system is to make antibodies to the virus. And antibodies are little proteins that are made in an exact fit to a foreign protein. So each of the virus proteins will have an antibody produced to it, or in fact a whole lot of antibodies. So like that, even the internal proteins.
Certainly their rates of false positivity was much higher in those early tests, and they sometimes attributed it to pregnancy or other chronic diseases that the person might have. But now that we have such pure preparations of antigens, it's very, very rare for someone to have antibodies in their blood that are binding non-specifically to these highly pure preparations, highly pure HIV antigens.
So when we do HIV tests, most of the tests that we do are actually testing for antibodies that your immune system makes, not the virus itself. And we can do this because antibodies are very, very specific in what they recognize. So we can do a test which is just for HIV antibodies, and it won't detect measles antibodies or antibodies to herpes viruses.
Mainly patients are coming because they've been referred by doctors for various illnesses that they must do HIV tests as part of investigation. Some of them, they come voluntarily because they are interested to know their status, and some of them because they've heard about available treatment.
They can be monitored, they can go on to medication like Bactrim, which prevents pneumocystis pneumonia, which is a very common illness in HIV. They can go on to, if they're in contact with people with TB, they can go on to drugs to stop them getting TB. Those would be the medical reasons to test even if you can't have anti-HIV drugs.
you can stay a longer life unayo ukuba ngabana uzilolongele wena nayo unika ithuba loba mawuprepare noba ndizawuthini na. Uyaqonda?
HIV testing does not require expensive equipment or labs. In Khayelitsha Michael Mapongwane Clinic, rapid HIV test kits have been introduced. The rapid tests allow primary health care clinics to perform accurate HIV tests which gives a result within half an hour. Sister Matinisa takes a blood sample and adds a reagent which reacts only with HIV antibodies in the blood. Let's see what happens. When she finds a positive result, a second confirmatory test is performed. The use of two tests practically eliminates the chances of a false positive result. Right in front of us, we have 5 blood tested, and there is one amongst 5 that is HIV positive. So this proves kind of the data and the statistics, how it says, this year's statistics, there's one amongst 5 people are getting infected. Directly after infection, there are not enough antibodies in the blood to be picked up by an HIV test. Only after 6 weeks will an HIV test be able to detect the presence of these antibodies.
There's a known time of exposure that for 4 to 6 weeks after that time, the virus may be replicating in the blood, but antibodies are not yet detectable. The window period then is the time from exposure to the time that you can start detecting antibodies in the serum.
You've done your HIV test. My results.
My results are negative.
So our knowledge one how do you feel?
I feel happy. Ngizazama ukuziqoqosha kangangoko ndinako ukusukela namhlanje ndisebenzise ikhondom.